So writing for brands is amazing because every single assignment of yours will be different. Every single day of work will be different for you. You'll not be doing the same thing twice. Um, if you're generally curious about how things work, how industries work, this is the profession for you to be in, because you need to have that little bit of learning bent of mind as well, because you need to know what a brand does in order to be able to communicate about them effectively, right? And the best part about it is you could be working with absolutely any brand around the world. There is no limit to who you can work with. So yeah, that's why it's awesome. Should we move on? Okay, so some of the skills like I've already touched upon is you need to be able to learn about what this brand does, what this person does. You need to be able to research. You need to be able to communicate clearly. You need to take complex concepts sometimes and communicate it in a very simple fashion so that your target audience understands it. You need to understand who different target audiences are, how do they operate, how do they make that purchase decision, is something that you need to have a little bit of understanding about. I'm not saying you should be an expert at this, but it always helps to understand how, say, a 30-year-old makes a purchase decision versus a 15-year-old. Different things will attract them, right? So you need to understand how do I write content for both these people for the sometimes for the same product so that they both will buy it. Okay, and you need to understand a little bit of marketing as well, because sometimes you will be writing content and you will be writing copy for the sake of selling a product. So you need to have a little bit of marketing knowledge as well. Okay, now this is a very cool topic. Content writer versus a copywriter. So to tell you okay, a content can retell brand stories and a copywriter can induce someone to take action. That's absolutely correct. So a content could be to tell absolutely anything. Like if a brand wants to educate you about what they do or educate you about their products or services or anything, they will probably choose a content writer to create website content, to create blogs and things like that. Copywriters are specifically used so that they can drive sales. They can attract customers in a way that a content writer can't. Now, simply put, copy is like the trailer to a movie. Okay, you see all the important bits, you see all the interesting bits of the movie, enough to attract you into a theater, enough to attract you to Netflix and say, okay, I'm going to watch this movie now. Content is like the movie itself. So there is no two ways about which is more important. Both are equally important, but their functions are completely different. Why they do what they do is completely different. Okay, should we go to the next slide? The purpose of a copywriter is basically to sell. So it's not like a copywriter is confined to what they write. A copywriter can also write website content. A copywriter can also write blogs and emails and stuff. But the purpose behind what they're writing is completely different. So a copywriter, maybe they will write in a more push, not, I wouldn't say pushy way, in a more encouraging way to for you to check out a product or for you to check out a service so that you can make a purchase at the end of it. The purpose is very, very clear. Sometimes for content, the purpose is only is it's also clear, but it's mostly to educate you, it's mostly to attract you to the brand. A copy is very direct, it's only for selling. Okay, so we've come to the end of the session almost. So let's talk about how you should pursue content and copywriting, right? Which would be more suited to you. Uh, Number one is, let's talk about full time. So usually what happens is content writing in general is a fairly new concept, but copywriting has always been there. Okay, because copywriting in the sense that when you write for hoardings, you write for pamphlets, you write for brochures and things like that. It's a more traditional form of marketing. It's a more traditional form of advertising. So there are a lot of advertising agencies out there who already have that structure saying, okay, I will hire a junior copywriter, then they will get promoted to a senior, then they will get promoted to a team leader, and then you can go on to head like a region or something like that. That is very structured. With content specifically, there are very few companies that have a structure like that. One is Pepper Content that I know of, that does exclusive content based. It's an exclusive content based business, um, and then you have a structure as to, okay, I will join, just like you join as a software engineer, maybe in a company. You will join as a regular software engineer, like an associate, then you will move on to a senior, you'll move on to being a team leader, and the same. The structure will remain the same. You will get promoted, as in when you start performing, you will be performing in teams. Your work will be very structured. The pros of this is that you will, number one, have a stable income, you'll have a stable salary that you can take home. Number two is the organizational structure is set for you in a way that your learning becomes very easy. If you join as a junior, there's always a senior you can go to. If the senior can't help you can always go to a strategist, you can always go to a team leader. There will always be somebody who will be able to help you out with your specific concerns in an organization. Number three is obviously you get paid to do what you love, which is writing. Number four is your career pathway is very clear as to when you'll get a promotion, when you'll get a hike. That is almost promised to you in a way. Okay. The con of this writing full time is based on the company. Like, for example, if you're writing for a real estate based company, it's very clear what the company does, right? They build buildings, or more like a construction company, let's say. They build buildings. Now, how many different ways can you showcase this? How many different ventures they come up with? In the end, the company is the same. Like, what they do is the same, unless they pick up different businesses and stuff like that. So as a writer, it could get stagnating for you. In an agency, it's different because you will be working on different brands. So usually in an advertising agency, they will have a roster of various clients, maybe like 10 or 15 clients. And sometimes you will be mapped to different clients. Sometimes it could be like a clothing brand. Sometimes it could be a real estate company. Sometimes it could be a makeup company. So the work that you get will be completely different. But if you're specifically working for, say, a company in a specific industry, that could get a little stagnating for you if you continue to stay there. What you can do to avoid this is you can learn a lot. You can do your side hustles. You can start learning on the side. Um, or you can get expertise in the field enough to be able to talk about it by yourself, right? Second is the scope of you for learning could be a little reduced after a couple of years if you're staying in the same industry, that is. Number three is, especially if you work in agencies, this is true. You will be working in an extremely fast-paced environment. Sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't work for people, which is why I put it in cons. I have seen people where people work through weekends, people work through festivals and all of that. Like right now, I gave you a brief about Diwali, right? Diwali, Christmas, any festival that you take is the most busiest time for an agency because they have to come up with original ideas, original content for how many ever clients that they have. And no two types of content should be the same because obviously like clients are coming to them for their unique brand proposition, right? So how you write for different brands will differ. Sometimes brands will like it, sometimes brands will not like it. So it becomes a very fast-paced environment. You will have very demanding job roles, especially during these times. So that could be a con for you based on where you are at. It could be a pro for you. It could be a con for you. For the longest time, it was a pro for me. I got to learn a lot. So based on where you are, it could be in either categories, right? If you have any questions, just let me know right away. Yes, Priyashi.
Okay, so I just wanted to share that recently I got to write as a finance blogger for a stealth startup. So it's something like that is related to my education background, but I'm not like 15 days into it and I'm not liking the way like I have to search on it and write on it. Whereas I'm interning with Purple Mango and I'm working on the brands is something that interests me. So like, should I stick to the finance blogger thing just to learn things, or should I leave and move forward?
The easiest way I would tell you is, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years? Do you want to do the finance thing in 5 years? If yes, continue here. If not, move on to something else. I would, yes, learning is important, but I would suggest that you learn something that you're actually interested in rather than something that you're not interested in. Because if you're interested in something, by default, you will learn it very fast.
Okay, thank you.
We'll move on. Let's go to the next slide. Is it necessary? One second. Somebody has asked, is it necessary to write blogs in a particular field only? Absolutely not. You can, if you have the ability to research and learn about any industry, You could be writing about absolutely anything. Like I started out writing blogs about architecture, and I knew absolutely nothing about architecture. I researched, I talked to my friends. That is something you need to have as a writer. You need to not just have writing skills, you need to have all the other skills that complement it. You need to have a skill to learn, you need to have the interest to learn, you need to have the ability to research more than you write. Sometimes that takes a lot more time than just you sitting and writing. Honestly, sometimes it takes 70% of your time even before you sit and write. Okay, I'll move on to writing for freelance. So for freelance, like we discussed before, like you'll be working. Okay, so the career path for you would probably be like you'll start working with smaller clients, with smaller assignments. So the two payment models for you in freelance would be: number one, getting paid by assignment. So you do a specific assignment for them, saying, okay, I need one blog in a week, and I will pay you say ₹3 per word in a blog. So if it's a 500-word blog, then you'll easily get paid ₹1,500 per blog that you submit to your client. And that is how you go forward with every assignment, right? Second model you can use is if this is a client that trusts you, and if this is a client that regularly has work, you can get onto them on a retainership fee model. Now, essentially what this is it's almost like a salary only, minus all the benefits. So they are paying you on a contractor basis, and not you're not really a full-time employee for them, right? So they're not required to pay for your additional bills like your medical insurance or something like that. You will be, but the advantage here for you is that your monthly income in a way is set so that you can plan all your expenses around it. Um, 1 second. From where can we research for a particular topic? Google, just Google. That's the easiest way you can do. So I'll come back to this. Number two is you can upskill yourself. Okay, so this is something I started off doing as well. As a freelancer, nobody will tell you what to write, what to learn, how to write, from where you can learn. It's all on you, right? And so it's really up to you to figure out, okay, this is something I want to do next. I started off writing blogs and simple social media posts around 4 years ago. Slowly I've come to a point where I can create complete calendars for brands. I can totally tell them, this is what you need, this is the kind of content you need to write, this is the kind of content, this is the kind of audience you need to be looking at. I can figure out an entire communications cycle for them, and this has come only out of my learning. I have upskilled myself. I started learning what brand storytelling is, what copywriting is, what strategy looks like. So you need to have a little bit of idea of why you're writing as well, and that is where brand strategy comes in. A little bit of digital marketing, like we touched upon in SEO as well. You don't need to know like the complete end to end about these topics, but you need to know enough so that you can tell a client that yes, I know um, I'm skilled enough to give you the services that a regular professional would. So you need to come with that kind of knowledge, right? Some questions have been coming in. Let me just answer that. How to do guest blogging? Just reach out to them on the email that they have on their blog, and or just find the person who's responsible for getting on guest blogs. Um, that's the easiest way to do it. What are some of the mandatory hard skills that one should be good at? And could you suggest some of the topics to kickstart content writing? Okay, topics is completely up to you. I would say initially, consistency is important even when you're practicing for yourself. So if you are really interested about makeup, for example, sit and write one blog, say twice in a week. Put a calendar for yourself. So tell yourself that I'm going to publish a blog every Monday and every Thursday without fail about makeup or fashion or whatever. And that is something you need to have for yourself. And do something that you're really passionate about or really interested about writing, because consistency is key here. And you will not be consistent if you're writing about uh, topics that you're not really interested in. Then you will not be interested in researching or anything like that also. So just to get yourself into that habit, start with writing something that you really like and then take it forward. Some of the mandatory hard skills are obviously you need to be good at grammar. So for this, I would suggest number one, you write a lot, read a lot. This is something that your teachers would have also told you in your school. Pick up and read a newspaper. If you don't like reading news, pick up a blog that you like reading, or even watch YouTube videos, watch TV shows. I used to not understand. I used to work with a lot of US clients back in like couple of years ago, and I would never understand their accent. So I started watching Friends just to understand the accent, and that's how I picked it up. So there's absolutely no limit to where you learn things from, right? Is there a way to write for newspapers? Yes, usually newspapers have their own journalists, but if you can get in touch with their editor on LinkedIn or usually even newspapers will have specific editors for specific sections. So if there is a tabloid column, there will be a team leader who's leading that tabloid page. If there is a sports column, there will be someone, or if there's an editorial column, there will be somebody who will be leading that page. Usually you will find these people on LinkedIn. If not, actually newspapers themselves will have email ID of the editor mentioned on the newspaper itself, so you can pick it up from there. Can we write down diverse topics? Absolutely, you can. How to make the content unique? Sometimes it happens that I repeat few words. Don't worry about it. Just number one, when you're starting out, just focus on writing. Just focus on that. Focus on how good your flow is. Sometimes initially when I started out, it used to take me some 1.5 hours to write a blog. And over time, because I wrote so much that I now am able to finish a blog within 20 to 30 minutes also, because that is a practice that I've put in myself. So don't worry about words repeating, phrases repeating. It's okay, just have your first draft ready. Once your first draft is done, take a break, take like 1 day's break, come back to it tomorrow, and then look at it with a fresh set of eyes. When you don't remember what you have written at all, then you can begin to edit it. But for the first draft, just don't worry about what you're writing. Whatever is in your brain, make sure it's on paper. Sunanda says, thank you, Jagati. It was a really informative session. Really like learning from you and interacting with you. Thank you so much, guys. If there's any other questions, I think, yeah, I think I wrapped up within 20, 25 minutes.